Up. Sorry, we're a minute late there, I think, because we had some connection issues. Are we up? Find a chat here. Chatting from Alaska with the overlay up and see what happens if we may have to go off and come back on if this doesn't work. We'll have to switch sources. Is anybody out there? Flatlanders RV is out there. Cool.
Hi, Cindy.
Hey, how you guys doing? Well, do we look horrible? Is it not looking good? Because I don't know that chat's not looking. Good to see you too. Just trying to figure out if all of this is working. Hey. Oh,
Brittany.
There's Barb. There's Brittany.
From the
Looks
Bahamas,
fine.
Brittany.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Brittany's in the Bahamas. All right. Oh, now let's see what happens. Okay.
Oh, look at all those.
Oops, where'd you go? We will wait. See, perfect. Are we back? I think we're back.
Let us know. Can you see us?
Can you
hear
see
us?
us? All right, I think we're back. All right, good deal. So, hey everybody, what's up? How you doing? Let's see. Flatlanders RV Travels. Pat's in here. Brittany was in here.
Oh, hi, Chris.
Chris, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Just give it a couple of minutes. We got a few people in here, so if we get some other folks. Well, I wasn't sure what was going to work with the internet, being it's where we're at, but so we'll see. Hopefully, this will hold out for us. So, yeah, what's up with everybody?
I will have to say that this is probably the best internet that we've had.
This is why we waited so long.
Really long.
Why we waited to kind of do any kind of live stream or anything like that, because we definitely have not had great internet service at a lot of times.
No, so if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you know that sometimes you get periods of time with no. Oh, look at the doxy. You get no period, no post for several days, and then all of a sudden you're like hit with everything. But you know, you get it.
That's the way it goes. Yep, that's the way it goes. So, but we're having a good time. We're currently we are in Valdez, Alaska.
It's really pretty here.
It is very pretty here. We're staying at a KOA. The only KO I've ever been to that's primarily just like water and electric. There's no sewer here, so
no, it is very remote. Also,
yes, yeah. Well, and it's not
even in Alaska terms. I think it's
kind of remote. It's kind of remote. So we've had a really epic trip though. It's been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of things go right, and a lot of things go wrong.
Yeah, and we don't know what day it is or where we've been.
Don't know what day of the week it is usually without
what
looking
time it is usually.
The time is a tough one. Now we're kind of getting.
Well, it's starting to get dark
late in the season, so it does start to kind of get dark now.
And plus, we've had mountains that have
helped with that. But when we were in Fairbanks,
well, that was
24 hours 24 hours daylight, man, and that will mess you up more than you think that it will. So.
Yeah. Tabitha was visiting us when we were in Fairbanks, also.
And no sticks, no bricks. Yeah, we are definitely enjoying the motherland. It is crazy, man. There's so much stuff up here to do, and you just don't know until you go. And that's all I can say about it is the amount of education that we have gotten from this trip about Canada and Alaska has just been
so Jason and Jen, we're in love. with your hometown.
Yeah, Palmer
Hey,
is amazing.
That is beautiful. And we had some really good pizza there too.
Yeah, we did have good. The Palmer Ale House was
Yeah.
amazing. We had a good. We went and hiked.
It was gorgeous.
The Matanuska Glacier, and I think that's coming up maybe in next week's video or the week after. But then we went to the Ale House that evening for pizza and drinks, and it was really good.
Yeah. So, how much snow did you average there during the winter time? That's what I would like to know.
So yeah, but Palmer was great, and Palmer has great diesel prices right now too. So
yeah,
we stopped on the way back through from Homer and everything when we came over to Valdez, where we're at now. We stopped in Palmer and filled up because they have some of the best.
Best ribbon ever.
Best ribbon ever. Yeah, they have some of the best prices on diesel fuel for sure. For sure. But it's been an education. We got videos coming up on a lot of stuff, but let's see. We've
gotten a good preview of it on the Instagram,
right,
and Facebook. Whatever I post on one shows up on the other, so I appreciate if you follow both.
Yeah,
we've comments on both. And thanks, Cindy. I have been posting what I can, but I have so many pictures and videos because, I mean, when do you stop? Although I have reached a point where it's like, oh, look, it's another glacier,
right?
Which I hate to say because the glaciers are absolutely fantastic and amazing.
There's just so much to.
So
there's so much to document when you come up here that I feel like I don't know. The first bit when it starts when you get into Canada and you're just driving, looking at the mountains and stuff. And the further you get, and it's like, and then you're driving up the Columbia Icefields Parkway and it's like, right. Everywhere you look, it's like, look at that. Oh my God, look at that. Yeah. And it's the whole trip is that it's like, look at this, look at that.
So I think our plan eventually is that we will do like a 2 or 3 part series on what we've learned.
So we are going to do. We got some great questions.
Thanks to Patrick.
We're going to answer those questions for you, Patrick. But coming up after this trip concludes, with 2 or 3 part video series on everything about this trip, everything we learned about planning it,
how we did it,
how we prepared for it, what it cost, what we learned, what we broke, what we had to fix on the road,
and what we want to do the next time.
What we want to do the next time, how we would do it differently if we could do it. And that's a hard one to touch on. I don't want to say that we would really do anything differently because then the experience wouldn't be the experience that we've had. But what would I do different next time? I don't think I would change this anyway because we wouldn't have had the experiences that we had.
But we have ideas for our next experience.
What has been our biggest surprise so far?
I think Canada was probably
that was a big surprise. So I'll tell you what the biggest surprise. Well, a big surprise is you think. And you look at it on the map and you plan this trip out and you're like, okay, we're going to cross the border. Then we're going to drive through Canada. We're going to stop at Banff. And then we're going to head on to Alaska and kind of do our thing. Canada's big.
It's huge.
and it takes a long time to get through. We stopped a couple places for like 2 nights here, 3 nights here.
But we were in Canada for 23 days.
3 weeks trying to get through Canada. And it's big. It's about the way we went up to Banff and then up the Icefield Parkway, Dawson Creek, and then up to the top of the World Highway was about 1,900 miles from border to border. It was only 1,600 miles from Fort Worth, Texas to the border in Montana. So Canada is big and it takes a long time to get there.
And you're going to see things that you want to see and that you didn't know that you want to see.
And there are a lot of little campgrounds in Canada. You're like, oh man, I want to stop there. Oh man, oh God, I want to stop. And the other thing is that if I had to pick something that was my biggest surprise, and no sticks, no bricks. I asked them about this before we ever went. You know, is there spots on the way to boondocking? And we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna cover all this in our videos about the trip. Once you cross into Canada and through Canada and Alaska, there's no shortage of anywhere to boondock or stop.
So the key that you need to know before you plan your trip is to have
a milepost.
Well, there we go. You can't see it because there we go.
Ta-da!
The milepost.
Yeah.
This thing is amazing. It tells you about
and
all
whoever's
the little turnoffs and whatever, but you need a navigator. You can't be a single person trying to read the book. Either.
Yeah, so you can't. Melissa's figured out how to. You need to get the milepost. You need to figure out.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah,
too,
figure out how to use it or how to read it. Once you figure out how to use it, it's been invaluable. But I will tell you that Canada and Alaska have got it down with pull off for people to park and overnight and camp for free. You are never going to be, I think, in the most rural of areas, which let me tell you, we went to rural. We went to the middle of nowhere and then went about 300 or 400 more miles past that out to their uncle's house. And you're never more than half an hour away from some kind of double-ended pull-off turnout with trash can. It's amazing.
Yeah, and lots of them have trash cans or pit toilets, so you don't even have to worry about that issue of what to do with your trash.
So that was our biggest thing. I asked, Jason, was there a lot of area to boondock? And you just don't know until you drive up here and you see it, and you're like, holy crap! There really is.
I mean, it's just you just don't know.
And when you get up here, even on the way, still at lakes on the Alcan, or up here, even in Valdez, the glacier wash, in the glacier wash area in the river, there's so much dry bed there. There's campers just dispersed everywhere out there. We stayed a night in Fort Nelson, British Columbia, on the banks of this river. We'll probably stay there on the way home as well. So that's been the biggest surprise to me, because we've never done a whole lot of stuff on the West Coast with like BLM land and stuff like that, because we're from the East Coast. So just having this plethora of choices was kind of a new thing for us, but it's pretty amazing.
So, and there's one thing I've recently stopped saying, and that's the craziest thing we've ever done in our camper.
Yeah.
Because we have done so many things that I can't even.
Some roads. So I'll tell you, with some of the roads have been kind of, the Alcan all the way up to Whitehorse is where, and then we went north from Whitehorse up the Yukon Highway. The Alcan was okay up to that point. The Yukon Highway up to Chicken, or up to the border there, was pretty tough, pretty rough. Not easy going.
No, and I've made a few shorts, and I'm working on some more, because, like I said, there's so many videos that I've posted on Instagram, like of our drive and the road and stuff. So.
I mean, so then you go, you do this epic thing, and you cross the border, the border crossing up the most northerly, border crossing, and it's just, you wouldn't believe it when you top the hill and you look. It's just in the middle of these mountains, basically nowhere. Then you cross into the U.S. and all of a sudden it's pavement. You're like, oh yeah, that's very on your way to Chicken. That's very short lived. It's there for about 10 miles, and then it was 20 miles of the roughest dirt rutted roads that you have ever seen. We had to stop, flatten one of our tires, so we broke a leaf spring. That was a different day, but I think it all adds up. We've tore some stuff up. The highway, I do hear that the Alcan from Destruction Bay to Whitehorse is kind of rough, but we'll find that out on the way home.
Oh my gosh, and the amount of dirt that gets inside of your camper. Wow.
Oh, ridiculous.
I mean, we've wiped it off several times.
That's not even the bad sections of the highway that are the problem. The problem is they have basically ripped up the highway for periods of 10 or 15 miles, and it's just dust and dirt, and you got people flying by, and it's just, everything is filthy, man.
Okay, so Pat, you asked about my measuring stick, the skeeter meter.
Skeeter meter is what we call it now. Get out the skeeter meter.
Now, I've had this tattoo for maybe a year and a half, I guess. My daughter, who is a tattoo artist, our number two, she and I have matching lines, and people are always asking, "Oh, what are those lines for? You know, what do they mean?" And I'm like, I don't. They really don't have a meaning because I just wanted some lines on my
well,
finger.
they do have a meaning.
now they have a purpose.
They're skeeter meters, and you
and
won't find them.
Mosquitoes are huge.
These are mean.
We took some video from the glacier
the
other day where I was swatting mosquitoes, and maybe you can see them swarming around my head.
Enormous. These things are enormous.
And I posted some pictures of like them in my hair and on my face. They're huge.
Biggest.
And hey, Steve, how you doing?
Mr.
Tell Mom we said hello, and we have her sweatshirt. So
yeah, we did. We did help Mom. Yes, we did.
I'll mail it when we get back.
Yeah, when we get home, we'll mail it. We're not going to mail it from here, but we'll get your address offline and everything and mail it to Mom. We didn't forget. We bought it in Fairbanks, right?
Yes, we did.
So,
and hi, Barb. It was so nice to meet you earlier. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So Manic 1541 there. We just met her a little while ago. She's
working here.
At the KOA, and she's pretty awesome. Stop by and said hello to us. So
what has been our biggest challenge so far? Flatlanders wants to know.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, so
challenge.
The challenge one is the time and the daylight hours, because we're just trucking right along, during the day, and it's like, oh, it's 8:00. We need to eat dinner.
Challenge.
Our Barb is doing laundry at 11:30 at night because we have a washing machine,
right.
a laundry facility, but two, it's still daylight.
It's still daylight.
She's like, woo!
Especially when we were, like I said, when we were in Fairbanks, and it was just 24-hour daylight. Barb's up at 1:00 doing laundry.
Yeah.
But hey, that's
Ken was like, you need to go to bed. It's time to go to bed.
We have challenge. I don't know. I guess the biggest challenge was probably maybe
Canada and the money.
Canada and money and stuff like that. Although
if you're going to pay with everything on a card, it's not that big.
It's not that big of a deal.
Issue.
We took a bunch of cash to try for like a fuel budget and everything. We're gonna. There's a great website and a little app I think that goes along with it. But if not for that you can plug in what the Canadian price per liter is, and it will immediately equate that to a U.S. dollar per gallon.
So
right. No. So and you'll stop at some little stores that won't do the actual conversion because the U.S. dollar is worth more than the Canadian dollar. So most reputable stores will do the conversion for you. So you pay the correct amount in U.S. dollars. Some little small gas stations and stuff along the way don't. So we didn't fuel up there with cash because we have the external tank. And when I fuel up, I'm fueling up like 110 gallons. And at 25 cents on the dollar, I'm not going to lose, that amount of money. But that, and I think our biggest actually challenge at first would have been we did not anticipate the amount of time coming through Canada that we would be off disconnected from communication.
No cell service, no internet, no
because there were
facilities.
There were certain drive times where we drove for 3 days and didn't have any cell service. And
very few gas stations.
And stuff like that. So we really weren't. And another challenge is, I'll tell you this: if you're coming up here, bring some music because Sirius XM does not work up here.
No.
And luckily.
And if you're, download it to your phone.
Download it to your phone
because you can't stream it.
Because you can't stream anything because you may not have service. And we brought some CDs. Just as a last-ditch effort.
They're not our
not a lot,
CDs.
But thank God we had them. We've listened to each one about 20 times. But yeah, there's no Sirius XM does not work up here. Surprisingly, I have seen a lot of people with Starlinks out, but there are very few satellites that right as of right now that cover up here. So they said when they have service, it's good, but they don't always have service.
So another challenge could be when you're grocery shopping, especially going through Canada, because you're used to some of the same brands and things, but the product may not be exactly the same, such as our Kraft macaroni and cheese, dinner, which is known as a KD dinner. I made it the other night and it smelled like feet. So I'd throw it away.
She's cooking it and I'm like, what is that smell? And she's like, this is macaroni and cheese. And I'm like, it smells like feet in here. And it's just a blue box macaroni and cheese.
Oh, it's disgusting. We had to throw it away.
And it tasted like feet, too.
So I'm sure that's probably not the norm, but that was just our experience. Another thing is think like Barb. Barb is addicted to her vitamin water, and she has a specific flavor that she likes, and we've not seen it
since Montana, or actually Wyoming, probably
in maybe a month. And so she's having to expand her taste. So you may find things that are similar for you. Food prices do get considerably more the further out you get. You also have to think about what it took for things to get there. So that's why
we're in Valdez. Things are way more expensive here.
Right. We haven't seen any supply trucks coming in and out. So I'm sure that most
it's all mostly I'm sure the ships or the airplanes.
But it's a really small town.
Yeah, it's not a big town.
And let's see. Hey Blaine, how are you guys doing?
How you doing? He wants to know how are fuel prices. So in Alaska, fuel prices are great, actually. We had great prices in Montana where sub $4, $3 whatever, but that was bad. I don't know what they are now. Back around home, Georgia and Tennessee, I saw somebody posting that they were in like $3.30 or $3.40.
We can tell you today in Valdez.
Well, in Valdez is now it depends on where you're at in Alaska. Like in Palmer,
that was good gas.
And if you're on the main roads, like the thoroughfares, you're going to get a good price. Was like $3 or what was it, $3.89 or $4?
Yeah, but here it's like $4.94.
It's here. It's almost $5 a gallon here, but
for gas.
Well, no, for diesel is.
Well, it was a little bit less. It was like $4.84.
$4.79 for diesel here. In Palmer, I got it for like $3.89. In Fairbanks, I drove just.
That was good there.
It was about $4.10 a gallon or whatever, but I drove about 10 minutes out of the way to the west side of Fairbanks, and there was a store that gave you cash credit, so I got it for like $3.80 a gallon there.
So we use Gas Buddy to help us find gas prices.
Really, here
Canada was pretty expensive.
Now you find some spots in Canada. Now the most that I feel that I got taken advantage of. And I didn't get taken advantage of. That's what the price was. But so really to stop when we stop and I fill up, it cost me about $350, $350 to $370 to do my big tank and top off the tank in the truck. That's about what it is at the $3.80 to $4 a gallon. But we had to do a fill up in Whitehorse, and it was about $550. It was $5.60 something a gallon. So that was the highest that we've had to pay.
Now, the Costco's and things in Canada do have diesel.
They do have diesel.
Whereas a lot of them in the lower 48 do not.
But that was all. Canada's price. Fuel prices, and British Columbia and the Yukon are higher than Alberta, so as far as prices, but it has not been as bad as I thought, and we have still averaged right at about $4 a gallon over the entire trip, and that's about what I budgeted for. So I was afraid when we were kind of going through Canada that that was going to be blown, but the prices have been good enough here in Alaska that we stayed on budget, so that's good.
All right, so let's address some of Patrick's questions.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so he He wants to know about our planning strategy. Did we have a layout of the entire trip before leaving?
We did. A general idea. So we'll probably answer. I may answer a couple of questions with this answer, but yes, we had a general idea of what the trip was going to look like, and we had with some caveats in there. And this is what I'll advise you is if there's somewhere you want to go and you want to be there and you know you want to go, or if you're planning your trip, I think you guys said for next summer, then is that mom on
Yeah.
there? Sorry. The places that are going to be busy, like Fairbanks, Denali, anywhere you're going to want to stay, any place that you're going to want to stay, be able to disconnect your vehicle, be that a towed behind your Class A or your trailer from your truck, and go really out and about town. Go ahead and make those reservations ahead of time because those places are going to fill up. I think we made all of our reservations at those places like Fairbanks, Denali, Banff,
Liard Hot Springs,
all the places we knew we wanted to go and we wanted to stop and we wanted to be somewhere 6 months in advance or as far out as we possibly could, like to the day, found out when we could make reservations, stayed up till midnight or got up at 9 o'clock in the morning and made those reservations. That way you have reservations because I don't know, I guess this is the first year since the whole pandemic thing that the borders between the U.S. and Canada have been unrestricted as far as
vaccinated.
You don't. They don't even ask about it anymore. So that's a swamp of people, man. Even the people that live up here and kind of work up here are like, yeah, the campgrounds are full, crowded to the brim all the time. So if you don't have reservations for like big places, you're probably going to have a hard time getting in.
And it seems like all the cool YouTube people are in Alaska right
and
now.
Everybody's gone to YouTube. We ran into a few RV miles. We ran into them in Denali. But so we made reservations for those spots. We said, okay, we looked at the map. We said, this is the route we're going to take. It's going to take, and we use primarily, like you said in your message, we use primarily RV Trip Wizard. So we planned out how far we want to drive and all that kind of stuff. Set the dates for we're going to be in Fairbanks this date. We're going to be in Denali these dates. We're going to be here these dates. And then we worked everything else around that. Just kind of filled in the gaps. I wish we'd adjusted those dates a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. We stayed a week in Fairbanks. Didn't need a week in Fairbanks. It was good to rest and relax, but we could have done with like 4 days. And I would have liked to have tacked those 3 days onto Denali. But live and learn, and then that's what we would do the next time. But so that's how we did it. We made our reservations for the important places, and we've kind of filled in the rest of the trip.
So then that's kind of like he says, are you driving until you've had enough and then looking for a place to boondock, or are those planned stops?
So here's what we did with most of that on the way through Canada and all the way around through Alaska. Travel days, we pretty much boondocked all of our travel days.
We had an idea of how long we wanted to drive.
And I did go on. I used iOverlander a great deal. So you can use that. That's a good resource. You can.
But with that, make sure that you download your spot when you have service.
So what you can do is the way I did it basically, because we used the RV Trip Wizard GPS for the whole trip. But I found some spots. I found like 4 or 5 spots on iOverlander. Say, hey, we're going to drive 180 miles, and that's going to put us around Fort Nelson, British Columbia. Okay, let's look at where we can. People say they've boondocked before. Boom, boom, boom. You can pull them up actually on Google Map, see where they're at. I would say, and do a street view of it.
Highly recommend.
And I'll be like, okay, That's cool. Like that one. So then I would just go over into RV Trip Wizard, find it, and mark it as a destination on our trip. So it automatically would populate in our GPS. Uh, Sometimes we'd have 3 or 4 of those, and we'd say, "Oh no," we get somewhere and it's on a slope like this. And you're like, "Well, that's not really great for boondocking." Okay, we got another one coming up in 2 miles. Sometimes we didn't have any, and we would drive till we said, "Okay, we've driven 160, 170 miles." Melissa basically, and we'll talk about this more, she would keep track of where we're at in the mileposts. All right, it comes time to where we want to stop driving. She can look, and there all these pullouts, 99.9999% of them are listed in there. And she'll say, okay, in 15 kilometers, there's a double-ended gravel pullout, blah, 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 blah. 10 kilometers past that, there's a paved pullout, scenic overview. So at least we would know where we're going. So we didn't we had some idea how far we wanted to drive in between stops, but we didn't really plan those out to a T.
And so as far as, if you plan on boondocking a lot and you're going to need to find yourself water or dump stations, I do recommend that you pick up these little brochures.
Yeah, where did you get that one at?
Let me get the other one. That's the one.
So she got one somewhere, and I don't know where she got it at, but it's a paper.
So they have these for Canada.
Yeah.
So they look like this.
Yep.
So this one's RV Alaska, but in it has a
list of all the free dumps, all the dump stations, where they're at
for the whole state,
for the entire state.
And it tells you if they charge a fee or whatever. But
it's free.
There's a Fred Mayer grocery store here that you can boondock in there.
So when we broke our leaf spring, we were outside of Soldotna. But so we were going to have to boondock. So we limped it into town, went to the Fred Mayer, dumped, filled up with water, and limped back out of town and stayed at this enormous, like the size of a football field, gravel pull off in the middle of nowhere. And there's just, the thing is,
mosquitoes.
You don't have to plan your drive day stops. If you're planning on boondocking in between major locations, there's no need to worry about where you're going to stop. I'm telling you, I promise you, I swear to you, I was the same way before we left, because I want to know where we're going to stop. You don't need to worry about it. There's places to stop. Like, it's like somebody took a handful of birdseed and threw it. I mean,
and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to boondock. I mean, because it really does open up your world, and how you can stay and where you can stay.
And we see people,
Barb and Ken, they've gained 5 years of RV experience
over the past 2 months. Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, they can do anything they want to.
Yeah, people, like in Canada and Alaska, these boondocking spots, they unhook their trailers and drive off and leave that. Ain't nobody bothering nothing up here, man. It's yeah. So there's no shortage of places to stay. Don't worry about it. It's going to be all right. That was one of my big ones. I need to know where we're going to stay. I need to, it'll be there. Just drive till you don't want to drive no more, and then you won't have any problem finding a place to stay. I promise. But
Hi, Chad. Thanks for joining us.
Make your reservations for the places you want to go.
And then plan everything else.
And then plan everything else around it, and just figure out. But I will say, if we were to come back, which I hope we do, we would probably come up to Alcan and go to like Valdez and Palmer. I wish we had like a day or two in Palmer and Wasilla, and I really wish we could have stayed in that area.
So that's something we would have done different.
That's something we would have done different if we had known that Palmer was so nice and there was so much cool stuff to do there. We would have spent more time on Hatcher's Pass. And doing some of the hiking and stuff around there, but we didn't know. And we
would have stopped at some different places in BC to boondock.
Like you're gonna, and you can't do it all.
I can't. What is the name of that?
You can't do it all, but you're gonna drive. You're gonna drive past stuff like, oh my God, we gotta stay there. Oh my God, we gotta stay there. And you just can't do it all. No shortage of just the most epic places to stay. What else did he have question-wise? And so, so you're retired, and this is but our last trip next summer. Hard to tell how much time we will need along the route. We are retired, so time isn't an issue. Then I wouldn't worry about it. What I would do,
I would leave earlier than we did.
I would leave a little bit. I would leave
the end of April.
I would leave the first part of May. Take your time coming up through Canada, and I would plan on just if time's not a factor, then coming back into the U.S. first, second week of September. And that's going to give you plenty of time to do what you need to do. Take your time, enjoy it.
You will not see the northern lights during that time.
Yeah, so you know. Like you might get lucky enough in September to see them because that's prime viewing time. Now it's gotten pretty dark here the past few nights,
but I think we're too far south.
But it's been overcast, so I don't think we can see it. I don't know. I tried a couple of times to do a night lapse to catch them, but it never got dark. So
it didn't even look like it was doing a time lapse. Actually, it was just kind of like me.
So it's just been an eye-opening experience for us. So we've seen so much stuff and done so many things.
So another thing that we would do differently is maybe plan our trip in a different type of vehicle.
That's another thing that this trip to Alaska.
Hi, Cindy and Harold.
Hey guys, what's up? One strange adventure in the house. This trip would be totally different depending on what type of vehicle you are doing it in.
Yeah.
Because especially like coming through Canada, there are so many small campgrounds that are just
all the provincial parks.
Now we stayed in a lot of provincial parks or a few on the way up here, and I highly, highly recommend those. They're quiet. But we are, our rig's about 33 feet, just the rig, 36 feet actually with the bumper and the tongue and everything. We were pretty much at the limit of what's going to fit in there. But if you were in a Class B van or, like a truck camper, this trip is going to be different for every type of vehicle that you bring. I will tell you that I think something that made this trip a lot better for us is I wanted to boondock about half the nights that we were here.
Right.
Both for just the experience of it and for the money saving portion of it, because some of the parks up here are very expensive, and you're going to find a lot of parks in Canada that are extremely expensive.
And we toured with the ideas of what upgrades to make.
Yes. So we did, we put in, I'm going to cover all this too. 45-foot fifth wheel. You can do it easy.
We've seen
Okay, you can do it easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to
require
a little bit more planning. And there's some of the provincial parks that have sites that big. But we put in 400 amp hours worth of lithium. We put in, a 3,000 watt inverter, a separate inverter that runs the refrigerator because we have a residential fridge. Service the generator outside. I put in we have an 80 amp battery charger. We're going to go over the whole system that we put in, but it's worked beautifully for us. We were able to stay places and we really haven't missed anything, or miss any comforts, as you say. I bought a water bladder that holds 63 gallons of water. There were, when we hit the Alcan Highway, we filled up our water tanks. I filled that up too and kept it in the bed of my truck forever.
And we've not been in any situations where it's like, oh my gosh, our tanks are so full. And,
right. So I've used the water used the water bladder a couple of times for Ken and Barb, for us. So that was worth the money. We so like I said, the things you do in an RV park. So we're in a KOA that has water and electric, and behind us out the window right here, our big picture window is right here, and the neighbors across the street are getting their tanks pumped out, and there's a big giant tank of sloshing liquid in front of the window. That's hilarious. But so we have learned a lot. But I think what we did now, see, we could have saved the money on that and just stayed at parks the entire time, and I think the cost would probably have worked out about the same.
Now, if we would have had solar, I don't think that it would have done us very much good.
I went
we've
back
stayed in a lot of places that have been covered with trees.
I went back and forth about putting like 600 or 800 watts of solar on the rig before we left. We were in Fort Worth, and I really wanted to do it, and I almost did it, but it didn't. A, because of time, and B, we're just trying to save a little extra money. And I'm really glad that we didn't, because I don't know how much it would charge, but we haven't had a lot of rainy days, and we've been very lucky with that.
And it's not been hot here. As you can see, I'm wearing a sweatshirt, not only because I'm cold, but it's also become my preferred method of mosquito protection.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But, so yeah, it's what was I saying?
Solar, batteries.
Solar. Yeah, we haven't been like out in the sun for it to have charged. I mean, I know it'll charge a little bit, but I don't think we would have gotten our money's worth for this trip. And like the provincial parks, and at Liard and all that stuff, we're in the woods, man. So
thanks for the heads up there, Barb.
What is it?
She said the motorcycle people just pulled out.
Oh, good. Oh, they're having
we'll hear noise. Maybe.
That's fine. You might hear some noise. The motorcycle folks are here. The provincial parks in Canada did not open until May 20th this year. Just FYI.
Okay. I wonder if that was due to the heavy winter.
Well, they had a pretty harsh winter. Yeah. We learned that over the past 2 winters, so this is for the Matanuska Glacier, which is about an hour and a half or so outside of Palmer. We went up there and did a hike on that. That over the past 2 winters, it has gained 50 years worth of regression due to the winters being harsh. So 50 years of ice gain
in 2 years.
In 2 years. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a winter I want to withstand.
So this has been an absolutely epic trip. I saw Steve Assay in here somewhere.
Yeah, he was up there.
Yeah.
Every day is something new. Everywhere we go is some new wonder, and we can't believe we're here. And
the time has flown by.
Have no idea where we've been or what day it is.
And we talk to people, and we're like, "Bro, God, remember when we did so and so?"
Right, and we're like, "Well,
and that was like that was a week and a half ago." And we're like, "Where was that? I don't even know at this point." We spent, it's been a little bit more expensive than we initially thought it was going to be, partly just because of this and that. But we've broken a few things, so we're going to talk about being prepared for the roads and everything, because listen, man,
you don't carry extra parts.
When you get to some of these, like in Canada, and you get around Liard River Hot Springs and in the Yukon, you're a long way from nowhere.
Yeah.
So when something breaks, you better be able to do something about it, or it's going to be a long time before somebody's able to come out and help you.
And it could be very expensive.
And there are times like we were 200 and 300 miles away from anywhere that would have any kind of service facility, and I can't imagine trying to have your rig towed out that way or something. She is going to pour sewage.
Okay, so Deborah, we met Deborah and her husband. They're from Rockdale County. We met them in Soldotna. Yeah, we did. You talked to him outside when we were leaving?
Oh yeah, I did.
She said that the locals said that this has been the coldest summer in 30 years, which is good because apparently it's the hottest summer in 30 years in
downtown. Yeah,
Lord.
We 15 degrees. That's the other good part about this trip, especially when you come up here and you spend the summer season, as you miss the summer back home. And like literally,
so as much
I can count on one hand, I think, the amount of days our entire trip that the temperature has breached 70 degrees. Most of the time it's been in the mid 60s and in the 40s at night, and it's been amazing. Amazing. 2 nights ago, we boondocked. The Worthington Glacier just is about 20 miles north of Valdez. We pulled off, and basically the terminus of the glacier is right there, and there's a huge area that you can park underneath it, like this big gravel washout area. The cold air singing off of that
Oh,
thing.
it was so cold that
It
night,
was so
too.
windy and cold.
Oh, and
That was
Thomas
so
got
amazing.
attacked by a ptarmigan.
A ptarmigan. If y'all don't know what a ptarmigan is,
You should look
it's
that
an
up.
Arctic chicken. And I had a kerfluffle,
Ptarmigan.
a ptarmigan, and but she wasn't happy with me walking the dog near her babies, and they flew off. And then I was trying to get away, and she kept like trying to brake check me, like running around. I'm like, lady, I'm just trying to get away.
I couldn't get my
So here
phone.
comes Mel out running out of the camper as fast
so
as you
funny,
can, because she could hear it. It's going. I'm like, just let me go. Just let me go. Oh, it was fun. We had a good time.
So hi, Russell from Kenai.
Ah, cheers from Kenai.
Kenai was beautiful.
Yes, it was. That entire area, man. You go down there in July, let me tell you, from there, you go to the Kenai Peninsula, all the way down to the Homer Spit. And it's about one thing and one thing only, and that's fishing.
There's some crazy fishing.
There's people lined up fishing. As far as the eye can see, we did have some really nice people. Give Ken and Barb.
They gifted us some salmon.
Gifted us some giant salmon fillets.
They were
just caught,
Yeah.
We grilled those things out. It was so good.
Delicious. So let me ask you guys, what is the number one animal that you think you would want to see on this trip? So come on, put them in the comments real quick. Everybody name something. What is the one animal that you want to see on your Alaskan journey?
Chill.
And
give you a hint, there's no animals here. No.
Other than the human wildlife, because there's lots of that too.
I can take you.
Oh, some grizzly bears.
Thank you, Pat. I've been looking for that.
Yeah. Oh, there's Mom.
Mom's
Hi,
on.
I got your sweatshirt for you.
Grizzly bear. Grizzly bear. Yeah, Barb.
That's
we
bears, moose.
Moose. Pat. Okay, Pat's wife said moose. Grizzly bear. Thank you.
Yeah.
All the grizzlies.
We have seen moose.
Grizzly
bears. Thomas has started naming the ground squirrels moose.
Yeah, because for a long time we didn't see any of those. So I just started to call those squirrels that ran across the road. I'm like, moose.
And Barb and Ken are behind us. We're like, where?
Can't see it now. It ran across the road.
Prairie dogs.
We saw a lot of prairie
those were
dogs.
Cute.
A lot of prairie dogs.
Oh, let me get my list.
She has a list of what we have seen. We've seen caribou. We saw some good caribou in Denali.
Eagles. We saw some seals. We saw sea lions today.
Yeah, we saw. Oh my God,
man, that dude was huge.
We are in Valdez, and we went to the hatchery that's down the road, and it is prime time for the salmon are like coming to spawn back to the hatchery where they were released. And in front of the weir, which blocks the river, the sea lions the size of my truck are out there. Just
he was hungry too.
They're coming up and just eat. I mean, there's 30 of them out there, and there's this one huge guy. He was like swimming back and forth, and nobody else would come in there because I guess they were afraid of him. But it's like there's a million salmon in there. He's like, yeah, we're going back tonight, so
maybe we'll see some grizzly. Grizzly. We've not seen a single grizzly bear. We have seen some black bear.
Seen a good bit of black bear. Moose.
We saw a couple beaver.
Yeah. Saw sled
deer.
Dogs.
We saw some wild horses.
Wild horses.
Yeah, eagles. We had the eagle outside of our front door.
At where were we? Homer. No. See, this is what happens. No. So much cool stuff goes on.
It was where were we just before?
I don't know. Seward.
Yeah, okay, Seward.
We were Seward, Alaska at KOA, and we go. I'm unhooking the truck, man. We just pulled in. I look up, and there's this huge tree. The road across, huge tree, way up. I'm like, and there's this eagle's nest with a big bald eagle just sitting in it. I'm like, let me tell you, they don't make their nests out of twigs. They make their nests out of like logs. And
So,
yeah, so there was the eagle just there, like right outside our front door. It was amazing.
so
Absolutely.
it's so bad that I have write every day on the calendar where we've been and what we did and what we had for dinner.
There's so
because
much.
I
It's
just can't keep
sensory
up.
overload.
Doll sheep. We saw doll
We
sheep.
saw doll sheep as little white dots on the mountain.
Yeah. Magpie and marmot. We saw a couple of fox. What else? Sled dogs.
Yes, we saw sleigh dogs. Mom
Yeah.
says, "Thank you. Now we have to go to Florida." Yes,
Yes,
we
we
are.
do.
We do have to come to Florida.
Yes.
That is on the books, Mom. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but it will be soon, and we are coming.
So we took a little cruise when we were in Seward also, and we did see some orcas
Mm-hmm.
and humpback whale and tufted puffin. I was like one of those fish's name. And
puffin.
yeah, and some glaciers and
glaciers and mountains and Arctic animals, sea lion, great
It was
harbor
cold.
seals, orcas, killer whales, stuff like that.
Stuff like that.
Run of the mill things that you see.
Yes, we have seen beaver lodges.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen them on the side of the road. We've seen them on hikes. Beavers do some really amazing things to change the landscape. I mean, we've learned so much. And okay, I really hate to admit it, but mosquitoes have a serious purpose.
Yeah, they pollinate
blueberries and cranberries. Mm-hmm. And so
let me tell you, the 6 eagles on the beach at Deep Creek behind her. Man, that's awesome.
Wow.
We
they're so beautiful.
I love, just absolutely love. It's something about like a river, like not a little creek back home, but like a river. I just love rivers, and if you like rivers, driving through Canada, there's freaking water everywhere, and it's amazing. It's so humbling and awe-inspiring to come up here to see all the area, and you can drive for days and not see anything. There's a lot of
it's sensory overload.
There is a lot of land and a lot of area, and we're all combined back home to the cities that we live in or around or work in or whatever. Let me tell you what, you start driving through Montana, Wyoming, through these desolate areas of Canada and northern Alaska, there's emptiness everywhere, and it's so awe-inspiring. We have been disconnected from YouTube as far as political stuff and TV, and
I haven't watched Netflix
for 2 months now. Yeah. We don't even know what's going on, and it's the best thing.
I feel lighter.
We don't even. I keep my phone
lighter
on me for recording stuff or whatever. I might pick my phone up once a day and look at it now, and it was kind of tough at first, but it's been. I know that things will kind of go back when we get back home, when we get back into the hustle and bustle of the next contract and getting ready for whatever next adventure we have in store. But I don't know if I'm necessarily looking forward to that part because it's been really awesome. So.
And we're so glad that you joined us
for
our chat today.
Yeah.
And for following us on our social media.
You guys are awesome. And
because it's nice to be able to share it with people we know.
I will tell you, we have met people.
Who else is going to believe what we've done? Oh, my God.
Nobody. People that haven't been here, just you can't explain it. But we've met so many wonderful people on this trip. And everyone we have met and come in contact with has just been as nice as RVers usually are.
Yes.
It's nice and wonderful, and we've made some friends and acquaintances that I think we'll be hanging on to. We've traveled this trip.
How many miles have we been so far?
Over 7,000. We're about 7,400, and that's from Fort Worth, from the time we left Fort Worth. We have been fortunate enough to travel this trip with Ken and Barb, two of our closest friends, Really my only friend because people don't like me that much. But
I don't know how we would.
And this trip would have been such a different trip without them. You need to have some type of support system for this kind of trip.
It is a very taxing trip in many aspects.
It's a long
journey.
It's a long journey, and
there's a lot that you learn about yourselves and your partners.
Yeah.
You know, you push yourself to limits that maybe you didn't know you had.
So we've been fortunate to have Ken and Barb with us on this trip, and I think they've had a good trip and a good time. But you need to have somebody or some method of something to have someone with you, because it's just that kind of trip that it's a safety thing. I think. I mean,
Well, it is definitely a security blanket. Knowing that no matter how your day goes, you've got somebody else to lean on or to help you out and get you through it. We enjoy the camaraderie that comes with that, because being full-time RV can be lonely because a lot of your friends and family don't understand what you're doing or why you're doing it. And they certainly aren't going to follow you on the road.
Right.
So
I think everybody back home thinks we stole Ken and Barb, and they're never
right. So Ken keeps making a joke. He's like they think that we're never coming back. Well,
right. What are you doing?
Maybe we're not.
When are you coming home? We are home.
But so it's nice. It's nice being able to sit down and have dinner with some friends, or to hang out in the afternoons, or somebody else that can share your experience and understand exactly. Oh my gosh, what are we doing?
So Pat, we got videos that will be coming out after, it'll probably be late August, early September. At that point,
it'll be after all of this is over.
The specifics about what we spent, what route we took, all that kind of stuff, and we'll answer. It's going to be a lot of information. We're going to cover just every aspect, how we handled boondocking, what we did for boondocking, showers, power, this and that. We're going to go, over all of that. So that'll be coming up. Look for that. So we'll answer all your questions. But the one thing that you need to know is don't stress too much about it.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
All the planning, where we're going to stay in between here, and there's places to stay. If you can set yourself up a little bit to boondock a couple of nights or whatever, don't worry if you're going to have whether or not you're going to have a place to park between point A and point B. You're going to have a place to park.
Purchase the milepost before you leave.
Yep. And whoever's going to be using it, learn how to use it.
And pay attention and start using it earlier than I did.
Yeah, which was
after Canada.
Which was
Yeah. So Barb, our daughter, was here with us only for 4 days. She was so to get to Alaska is an adventure, no matter how you travel, be it RV, airplane, or boat.
Long story short, her flight got delayed
a whole day.
So
she lost a day. We had 4 days together in Fairbanks, and we made the most of it. But it was great.
We had a good time. We were super glad that she came.
Yeah.
The thing is, we all will be leaving to start the journey back home towards the southeastern United States. We'll be leaving in 4 or 5 days. Which is sad to start that journey because we're a long way from home, and it's going to take us 3 weeks to drive there at least. And that's going to be like long drive days. It's going to take us. We got to get back to Fort Worth to get Melissa's truck before we move. I think our next contract is going to be in Tennessee, so we've got to get back over towards home. Visit some friends, get up to Tennessee by the 1st of September. But from here to Fort Worth is 3,400 miles. So we got a bang.
And you didn't see this hill that we come down to get here.
But I tell you what, I hope and pray that we can do this trip again because I understand why people come up here multiple times because you really have to.
There's no way to see it
There's
all.
just no way to see it all, or even a drop in the bucket on one trip, unless you just come up here and stay for 2 or 3 years. And I don't know if the winters will be too kind in an RV, but we love you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you could share our videos as much
Any
as
of our
possible.
posts or videos, anything, comment, like, subscribe.
Oh yeah, and if you could share it on your
helps.
socials and tell everybody to watch and subscribe, then we would greatly appreciate that. But
So not only does it help us think that, hey, you like what we're doing,
Right.
but it helps us with the YouTube algorithms, so other people can experience us also.
But this is an epic trip, and it's been a soul enlightening journey. I will assure you of that. Steve, we shall see you guys soon. Hopefully, pay attention. We have started talks of the Hootenanny 2, Hoot 2. We'll have details coming out for that soon, hopefully. So you'll start hearing about that in videos and some stuff like that. So we're not 100% sure where it's going to be, but we have started talking about the Hootenanny 2. So we need you guys to start thinking about whether or not you would want to attend that. It'll probably be in the southeastern United States. But
so leave us a comment on anything as to suggestions of where you might like to go for a Hootenanny.
Yeah.
Maybe
southeastern U.S.
RV
works for
parks,
everybody.
Those sort of things,
That's probably the area that we need to keep it confined to. But any ideas on that would work for people, let us know. Otherwise, we love you guys, and thanks for watching.